Hey everyone, Jim Benson here from Modus Cooperandi, Modus Institute, and the Collaboration Equation book. This is Collaborwocky, our conversations about collaboration. This is episode 4 of conversations with Jurgen Appelo and JB Rainsberger, and this is the this is a reason why I wanted to do this, is this particular topic today. And it was suggested by Jurgen. It's Can Bad Collaborators Advise on Collaboration? And it's us, three people who have thought a lot about collaboration, who have worked with it, got teams to collaborate and collaborate well, written books, and we confront some of our own anti-collaborative tendencies. Can bad collaborators advise on collaboration?
Absolutely yes, and for the same reason that bad bad baseball players make good coaches, because bad players had to work at it.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't have the thing that people call talent, which is really like unplanned volunteer practice as a child, when you could do it for 10,000, when you could get your 10,000 hours in before you were 8 years old, and therefore you were ahead of the rest of the pack. Like, those kids didn't know what they were doing. They just did it and it worked. We, who are bad at it, had to fight for every bit of achievement we had. And that's why we are better at advising on collaboration than the others. I was an abject asshole until my early 30s. And that's why I'm so good and so effective at helping people figure out how to stop being assholes. Because I did it, and so can you. I didn't learn it when I was 8.
That's why you believe you are a good, not you.
Well, of course, that's true, right? Because what I believe is the truth.
Yeah, well, I put up the question because, I have too much of an ego to suffer from imposter syndrome.
Right.
But I do think about it every now and then. Like, I consider myself one of the worst collaborators that I know. and that's for good reasons. I remember when I was young, 11 years old or something, a teacher told my parents that I had this habit of pushing other people's stuff away from my desk as soon as it was even like 1 centimeter in my territory. I explicitly pushed their bags and pencils, whatever, because I had to protect my stuff. This is my train. Don't enter it. And I have always had that attitude, I must admit, and it's one reason why for example, I never write an article with someone else. I just can't. I need to know that I wrote that article. And I once tried it with 4 people 15 years ago. I didn't like it. I had that feeling like, okay, whatever, I don't care. There's 3 other people in this text I don't recognize is my own writing anymore, whatever. Publish it. Like, I don't care. So I need to know that I care about the stuff that I created, and that's why I sometimes think, am I the right person to advise others on how to collaborate? Because I'm not the best example myself. But then, indeed, as you said, JB, that some of the worst players are the best coaches, and vice versa. So I can observe pretty well and draw my conclusions and read a lot of good stuff from experts, and then relate that and channel that to those in need with an illustration or two, which seems to help them. And then I think, yeah, okay, well, people find that useful, so I guess I'm still in the game.
Well, I mean, you're collaborating now and you're doing it pretty well, so I'm not sure. I mean, there may be certain forms of collaboration that just don't feel comfortable for you, but you communicate openly, you keep people up to date about what's happening with your ventures. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's really all you need. And and you create a space where people can come in and do work with you. We're always going to look at what our weaknesses are and assume that everybody else is good at that and I'm terrible at it. That's where that imposter syndrome thing comes from, right?
Yeah. So I guess it's a matter of understanding what to expect from each other. Like
Right.
if I'm quite explicit about how bad of a collaborator I am, I lower people's expectations, and then I surprise them.
Yeah.
That is actually not that bad as I said it would said it would be, which is useful because I'm forming a new team now again, and I will have to collaborate one way or another. But they need to know what to expect and not to bother me most of the time with their questions because I need to concentrate and focus and things like that. So yeah, it's a struggle.
So
But-
we're all collaboration Beethovens. So one of the things is, I mean, obviously, I've just written a book about collaboration, and the personal Kanban book has 2 names on it, and the book about collaboration has one name on it. And you know, so I've had 6 years to think about the irony of one person writing a book about collaboration who obviously collaborated on other books. And the thing about this particular work is that, for better or for worse, it's a very personal book for me. So it starts off with me being like punk rocker in the middle of Nebraska and then doing all of these other things, but then coming into contact with all of these people and groups who were not naturally inclined to collaborate, but who did. So they all started off as kind of natural bad collaborators and then experienced what it was like for the first time to kind of be in a band or to make something as a group. And that message for me was a personal message about a shared set of experiences. And I still kind of wish, even just for show, that there were more names on the outside of this book. But the collaborations of writing the book itself are myriad, because it's collaborations with every single one of those groups.
Yeah, well, that was the first thing that came to my mind. Of course, you can't put all their. That's what the acknowledgements are for, right? The acknowledgements are all the people who would be listed as co-authors if that was socially acceptable. But somebody's name has to be on the front of the book. You know, we don't. It takes a village as a cliche, but cliches become cliches for a reason. In the same way that Jurgen, you know, wanders the countryside, gathering stories, putting them together in a nice, beautiful little package.
Jogs the country.
Jogs, yes, jogs these days. Runs, he would say. Runs around the countryside, gathering stories. You know, that's a form of collaboration, whether you want to think of it that way or not. I mean, strictly speaking, it is. If you're not collaborating, you're at least facilitating collaborating. Another thing that comes to my mind is that we, by virtue of having tried to work with other people for the several decades combined that we've been doing this stuff, have had lots of opportunity to figure out where to set our boundaries. And I have found that because I'm much more clear about my boundaries than I was in my 20s, I'm much more selective about whom I work with and what I work with them on. And that can make it look like I'm not collaborating very much or very well. But what it means is that I'm not collaborating very poorly. When I do choose to work with other people, it goes better. And if I don't think I can achieve that level of togetherness, then I back off and let somebody else try. And that can make it look like I don't work with other people. Well, really, what it means is I am tired of signing up for fake collaboration theater failures, and I'm simply not going to do them anymore. I'm going to let the 20-year-olds who have more energy do it. And I'm instead going to go work on the things that are more likely to work.
It's funny that actually today I wrote an email to one of my partners that I collaborate with on a workshop, and I confronted them with the fact that the average response time of them to my emails was more than 9 days. And I said, I can't work like that. When I work with people, no matter which of the 15 channels it comes in, they get an answer within 24 hours, if not minutes. And that's something that I expect from my business partners when we collaborate on a workshop. I gave dates 9-10 days ago. I still don't have an answer. So I said, shall we just cancel the workshop? Fine with me, but I need to know how we are going to move from it. That's collaboration as well, knowing what to expect from each other and offering your best self there in terms of what they can expect from my response times and availability and everything.
Right. So we have both your delegation model, which I like to use an awful lot and share with people so that they understand these 7 levels of delegation and what that really means. Just being clear about what your expectations are for the co-working relationship. And also where a lot of the, again, with all the satir stuff in my background, the stuff that I learned from Jerry Weinberg, that, if you're not clear about the more clear you are about your expectations for other people, and the more honestly you communicate with them, the better those relationships tend to go. It's not always comfortable and it's not always fun, but it's actually not as frightening as most people think it is. And yeah, I'm not the kind of person who's going to be able to reply within 24 hours. That's not a service level I can offer free of charge. But at least if I understand that that's really, really important to you, I can make an explicit decision whether I want to comply with that requirement or not. And maybe that means that you and I can't work together on that kind of project. There are worse things in the world. We can still do this. We can still meet up in Europe and sit and have dinner and drink wine and do this kind of thing where we're collaborating right now and it's working just fine. The more clear you are about your limits, the better you can have an honest relationship with people. And something like your delegation model provides a nice, easy way for people to learn how to articulate where their limits are and what's important to them and what they're willing to give up. And that makes working together a hell of a lot more effective. I don't have to guess what your intentions are, and I don't have to guess what your needs are. Just tell me what you want, and let me decide if I want to give it to you.
No, agreed.
So this was a great conversation. So thanks guys. And I certainly know who you are, but do you want to do a quick kind of post introduction of yourself and then tell people how they can get a hold of you or ways that you would like them to learn more about you? And we'll start with Jurgen.
Hello there. My name is Jurgen Appelo. I'm in the Netherlands, Rotterdam, awesome city. And I am the author of Management 3.0 and Managing for Happiness. And if you will want to learn more about me, I have a website, jurgenappelo.com.
All right. And JB.
Hi, I'm JB Rainsberger. Some people call me Joe, and some people just know me as J Brains. I am, well, let's just say I started life as a programmer, and I can still write code, but I'm much more interested in helping programmers figure out how to work with less stress. So whether it has to do with technical skills, people skills, planning skills, whatever it takes, whatever the sources of your stress are, I want to try to help you with that. My inbox is always open. You can always go to ask.jbrains.ca. That's .ca for Canada, also an awesome country. As long as you're willing to wait forever for the answer, that service is free. That's part of my commitment to you, is that I will answer you eventually. And if you need answers sooner, we can talk about how much that costs, and it's less expensive than you might think.
All right. And I'm Jim Benson, and I thank both of my guests, whom I love dearly and because of COVID have not been able to see in an incredibly long time. Most recent book on my site is The Collaboration Equation. Look at that little fly out there. Isn't that awesome? And also teach at modusinstitute.com. And thank you both for these conversations. This was a wonderful way to spend some time. And I very much look forward to seeing you both very soon.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Jim.
Love the invite. Thanks, Jim.